velocity of an object varies according to this graph, and you have to identify correct acceleration time graph. So in this question you have to go from velocity time graph to acceleration time graph. So before we analyze the situation, let us quickly revise that what is acceleration. Acceleration is the rate of change of velocity, delta v over delta t. So if you take a gradient in a graphical, in graphs, what we say, acceleration is equals to gradient of velocity time graph, because that's the rate of change of velocity. So if we analyze this shape of graph, the different segments of this graph, we can easily identify that which graph is the right answer. So let's divide over this velocity time graph into 3 segments, and you can see, let me show you one thing. Okay, do you see that between these two green dots, this graph is a straight line, and before that I can say from this point, from A to B, this graph, in this velocity time graph, the curve is becoming more and more steep, which means that you know that acceleration is equals to the gradient of velocity time graph if the curve is becoming more steep, which clearly means that the acceleration is increasing during this. If the curve is becoming more steep, it means that if you draw the tangent line at this point and you draw the tangent line at this point, so you can clearly see where the tangent line is more steep, which means that from A to B, gradient of this graph is increasing, which means that, and that is positive, important thing, because this tangent line, if you find the slope of or the gradient of this line, that will give us a positive value of acceleration becoming more steep. All right, and look at this, from A to B, the curve is at some extent, the curve is almost straight. That's why in the start acceleration will be a very small value, but it will sharply increase as you go from, in this portion it will sharply increase. That's why. Okay, now from B to C, our next point is C. So from B to C, what do you see that this line, this graph is a straight line, which means that during this, dear students, during this, if you find the gradient of this graph, delta v over delta t, it will be a constant value. That's why we can say it should be in fact a maximum value of acceleration at this point. This is the acceleration time graph. And then from C to D, once again, during this part of this curve, as you see, the slope or the gradient of the graph is decreasing, because let's say if this, because this is a curve like this, and if you see the tangent line is becoming less steep with the passage of time, that's why acceleration is still positive, but it is decreasing in the same manner as it was increasing, and then like this. Okay, so now you can easily identify that which one should be the right answer. That should be obviously D should be the right answer.